Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name's Dean and this is Locksmith Services, and first of all, yes, I am Dean. I've had a haircut, decided that it's getting to summer now and it's getting way too long, and it's just so nice to have shorter hair because working in this heat can be a right nightmare sometimes. But anyway, in this video my plan is to talk about my top 5 kind of locksmith tools / locksmith tools I think that you need if you're either starting up or if you just want to invest a bit more money into your business on, these will make your life easier as such. So let's get these out, go through them all each individually and explain why I like it and why I think you should have it. It's not sponsored in any way, it's just these are tools that I love over the years and I want to share them with you just in case you either don't have them, don't know what they're about, and yeah, it should make your life a lot easier. So let's jump into the video. Okay, so my first tool is not really locksmith related as such, but it's a tool I picked up recently after doing some work for the council. At Harpenden Council, I'm quite friendly with some of the guys there, and I was like, I didn't bring my tools up to the job because I was just having a quick look, and he said, I've got a multi-screwdriver you can use because it just needed a bit of a screwdriver. And he was like, here's mine. So what this is a Bosch, and you flick up the end here and then you've got all these different attachments on it. You just pick which one you need, and so the beauty of this one is that it comes with all the bits you'll need for, say, your mechanisms when you need to change gearboxes, etc. It has all that on board. You have your Phillips, posi drives, flatheads, Allen key styles, so you can work on hinges, everything like that you can need is all in this. So like I said, all you do is pop, there you go, you can see on the end there, every one that you have, pop it up, take your bit out by choice, close it, pull it in, and like your ratchet, if you didn't know, turn it, you can lock it so it doesn't ratchet, and you can just do it up and down manually, and then you have your other side to ratchet the other way. So again, this is one of my favourite tools I've been using recently, and instead of going into my toolbox and specifically picking out the one I need, I'm just kind of carrying this around because my toolbox keeps just getting heavier and heavier these days for the different tools, and I'm thinking it's quite heavy on your arms when you've got to walk a mile to get to your customer's house. So yeah, having this in your pocket's quite nice and quite handy just to whip it out, do what you need to do, rather than having to go through your toolbox. So yeah, I'll leave the link in the description for this. I got this off Amazon for about 16 quid, and I did have a few problems with it at the start, but it's not not been giving me any problems since. But at the start I was pressing the buttons in and it was kind of like, it's not coming up, but yeah, it's working fine now. So I think, yeah, if you're interested in one of these, definitely get one. I really enjoy using it and I love it. So yeah, link in the description for this one. Now, this is probably arguably one of my favourite tools that I've been using ever since I purchased this. This is the first item that I decided to buy myself with my own money rather than putting it through the business, because I was so desperate to get it. I didn't want to wait till the right time where I could go, yeah, the company can afford to just waste more money on tools that I don't technically need, because I did already have one. And for me, it's this. It's my GJ electric pick gun. This is a Mark II, and the only thing I'd say about this is I don't really like the tube it comes in. I'm tempted to get one of those kind of emergency call-out bags that Jonathan's got, where I can kind of keep things like this in it, just so if I go to a lockout, everything can come out apart from my letterbox tool, and everything's in that bag. So yeah, this is the Mark II, and I know they've just released the Mark IV, and as much as I'd like to get it, there is literally no point me doing that. So this one's got your USB-C charging at the back there. You've got your button here, and obviously you can lock it off as well, so when it's in transport it doesn't automatically kind of come on and will drain your battery. But you can also remove this cover if you want to, like so. But yeah, I've always left it on there, and it's not really been an issue when it comes to using the tool on a job. I've not been sat there going, this is really uncomfortable because this isn't a way, the way I hold it doesn't really do that. So yeah, this is my GJ electric pick gun. It's a Mark II. I've got the standard ends that they come with, and I bought extra. They're not cheap. I think it's about 15-16 quid plus postage for 10 of these. But this is my go-to one. I see a lot of people try different bits, and it is all about what kind of works for you really when it comes to electric pick guns, or even picking in general. It's about, you feel things slightly different to other people. It's just like the way you consciously do things. So for me, this is my dream setup. Works perfectly every time. At the start I was snapping a lot of them because I realised they are very precious if you're holding them at a slight angle, especially when you're doing rim cylinders, because obviously the easiest way to do it is just hold it upside down. But if you're going in at a bit of an angle, just too much pressure snaps it. But over a while, when you're working at height, you kind of get that knack of it. And I absolutely love this tool. It's definitely my favourite. I think it's around £200. You can go directly to GJ, although places like Aldridge sell them, but I went direct because I just felt like always going to the manufacturer as such is better than going to a third party, especially because I know how poor some customer services can be at certain suppliers, not naming any names, but yeah, I went direct and picked this up. So my serial is 543, and yeah, I absolutely love this tool. So if you're interested in getting one and you don't have a pick gun, this should definitely be a lot on your list with other ones like Cronus and like that. So definitely have a look into some videos. There is one recently, I think Locklab posted one on the new Mark IV GJ. So go check that out if you haven't already, if you're interested in buying a pick gun. So next up on my list is something that I've found to be absolutely revolutionary in the locksmith game, especially if you do a lot of uPVC door openings. So these tools are specifically made to open up windows and doors that have been jammed. Previously, me and my dad would use something like an airbag to expand the door and hit those rollers or hooks manually to then open it. However, these tools have been bought out by Sauber and Paul Batty to make life a lot easier. So here is the window opening kit. I used this the other day actually. A tenant left the property and decided to put the keys through the neighbour's letterbox, thinking that's what he was instructed to do. However, the neighbour was on holiday, but we knew them quite well, and I saw a window open where the handle hadn't actually been engaged properly. So I climbed up the ladder on the external side of the house, put my window tool through, and then hit the roller up from the outside, opened it, climbed through, picked the keys up, locked his window properly, came out his door and then locked it because he had a spare key inside the property. So kind of two wins in one there, because there was no letterbox. There's no way I could have got into the property without having to pick his lock, and he didn't really want me to do that. So yeah, that is why I used the window kit for this. However, I've done a video recently with a Lockmaster where I used the door opening kit to open a door where the spindle was not engaging when you're trying to pull the handle down at all. So that tool worked perfectly. A couple minutes I was in, and it just meant that I did a non-destructive entry to the door. Didn't have to worry about drilling into the gearbox and trying to pull anything back manually, because it done its job perfectly. So I would totally recommend these, and I think reach out to Sauber or whoever stocks them and definitely get one or the other. So I have both of these, and I think what we're going to do is just get my dad a window opening one, because you kind of can use them together in a sense of, I have definitely taken bits out of this to help me on other jobs where they're not really tools meant for it, but they do make my life a lot easier. So this is what the window kit looks like. I keep all my packaging in there, and everything else that they advertise they sell, I think I've purchased really. But I can't lie, sometimes I have taken this out and used this for other things, because it just definitely makes my life a lot easier on other jobs. So it's more just about being resourceful with your tools, and this has definitely come really useful in other jobs. And they are bringing out a extension pack to add to this window pack for the Saracen gearboxes, just because they are slightly different in the way they work. So I think that's coming out in the next couple months. But yeah, this and the door kit, which I'll get some footage of, are definitely something worth getting. And if you haven't seen already, I'll link my video in the description where I actually used it on live on a job, just so you get an idea. But definitely invest in these if you're going to be a locksmith full-time, if you're not already, because they're going to make your life a lot easier. And good tools make you look better, they speed up jobs, they increase your profit, and it will just make life so much easier for yourself. So definitely get one of these. I'll put the link in the description again, just to make life easier for you. So next up on my list is probably one of the most important tools that you'll be using. They're technically not really locksmith related, however, you're going to need them to do your locksmithing, which is power tools. Now, we use Makita, and we always have done ever since I can remember my dad starting in 2005, just because I think our friend at the time, and well, a great friend now, let's say, works for a tool company and just said, look, I can get you the tools at a better rate than you can get them elsewhere, and we mainly sell Makita. So we've gone with Makita and always have done. So I've got 6 tools here, and these are the power tools I use on a regular basis. I still have my original drill. It started smoking a bit, or you could smell the fire smoke, but I started nearly 10 years ago, so that one's kind of just been put safely away for worst case scenario. But to start off, this is what I use on a day-to-day basis when I'm just doing your standard work, which is more of a lightweight drill. So I think on its own, this was about £50, maybe even less, for the actual drill itself. If you're not aware how kind of tool companies work, you kind of have the bodies separate to the batteries. It's similar with cameras. You buy like a body camera, and then you buy the lens to clip onto the body. So I always go for my small batteries here. So these are like my tiny little batteries to go to, because it just makes things so much more lightweight. So if I'm working on, say, a window or anything, I don't have such a heavy drill. Well, if you can compare it to what I use to, say, cut out my fit from freshes, or when I need to do some drilling, I then go for this big bad boy. So although this is much heavier, I then put a bigger battery on it, going for like a 3 or 4 amp, which means that the weight is so much heavier on it. So it's quite nice for your average work of just doing some basic screwing to go for one of these. However, this is my big daddy. This is the one that I tend to go for. This is a DHP481. It's one of the newer ones that they bought out. And I say I absolutely love this tool, and you've got your battery percentage at the bottom there, which just makes such a big difference. Saying that, I have about 5 batteries anyway, so can't go wrong with them. But yeah, so these are my 2 drills that I go to, my daily, and then the one where I know I'm going to need to do a bit of extra work, you know, if it's drilling into brickwork, drilling out a cylinder, if you're doing a 49 a moment type thing, or whatever really. But yeah, this is my baby. I love this one so much, and I know my dad's definitely jealous that he doesn't have one of these, because his toolbox weighs an absolute ton. Are you ever on a job late night and you need to see what you're doing? Although you may have a little torch like this, I've got a Nebo, or I've even got a more powerful one that I keep in my toolbox. As nice as they are, kind of a bigger bright light would make life easier. Well, Makita do sell these that connect up to a battery. So if I get one of my 3 amps here, slide that on, makes life so much easier at night. It's all adjustable depending on the position you need it to be. But yeah, this is definitely something worth getting if you need a torch and you're on the go. It just makes life a lot easier, and again, because it's just the body, they're quite cheap to get, and you can get replacement bulbs inside if need be. But yeah, makes life a lot easier at night, putting one of these, adjusting it on the ground to suit, and then away you go. Especially because not everyone gets locked out with the lights on, which is a real pain in the arse. I think a standard one which most people would know by now, which a lot of us have, are angle grinders, where you're cutting certain things down to size, whether it be, say, a garage door handle, getting the correct height of the spindle, window handles, mechanism strips. I know a lot of people do it by hand with like a metal saw, but I don't want to be there all day. So yeah, a good angle grinder, again, another Makita one. Always keep the guard on, and I always have my handle unless it's a tight gap. Say if it's a broken 5 lever but there's a nice gap just to cut the bolt off, doesn't work with a key, I can take this off, zoom, get it locked, get it unlocked, get it changed, and move on to the next job. So yeah, angle grinders are definitely up there as one of the better tools to have with you. And then penultimate power tool that I carry is going to be a die grinder. So a lot of people might think this is like to magi burr out locks and things. It's not. This is a die grinder, so it's a much bigger tipped end. These are useful for making holes a lot bigger, where it be metal or even sometimes wood or PVC. They do make an absolute mess, but this tool comes in so handy. I don't know how I could live without one of these, and I don't know how some locksmiths do, but probably is they probably have a different method of doing it, or they have their little magi burrs to just file out what they need to do. But yeah, absolutely love this die grinder, and I use it easily on a daily basis with jobs. It always comes in handy. So if your name is Andy Perrin, this is definitely going to be your favourite Makita tool, and I'm sure a lot of his followers are aware what this is going to be. And it's a hoover, so you have all your attachments to make it like a proper style hoover. However, I think I just binned them, and I got this and then a thin bit, and yeah, you put your battery on it, hoover up your mess, and it's good to go. And for a lot of customers, it just gives that wow factor. You'd be surprised of how many tradesmen actually leave like a ton of mess when they just leave a house and go, look, my job's all done, you need to clean up yourself, go. However, I say, oh, let me grab my hoover from the van, I'll clean up. And that means it's going to be 50% I have to clean up, or the other 50%, oh, thanks for offering, nobody really does that, but I'll sort it out, it's not a problem. So having one on board at least means there's probably a higher chance that you get better respect from the customer, because you've got good customer service. It doesn't mean you actually have to do it. But yeah, I use this a lot, especially as I go. Now I've got my mat down there that I use for fitting 5 levers for the dust to go on. It's quite nice to clean up as you go, especially with a 5 lever, because you make a lot of mess. So then when it comes to the end of the job, it doesn't look like you've just made an absolute bomb of wood dust all over their front door area, especially if it's a windy day, because it ends up blowing all the way around the house onto other carpets and floors. So yeah, these are all my power tools that I tend to use on a daily basis, which I then put in the office every night, just so some twat doesn't come and nick them. But yeah, not that hard to do, but they are good quality tools. So investing in good tools are definitely worth it. I can't comment on what the Lidl specials are in the middle aisle or the Aldi, because one, I've never used it, and two, I think you're paying for a premium price. And the beauty about all these tools is that this one battery does every single one that I own, and we've got some custom stickers on here just so if they do get stolen or go missing, it's fairly obvious, especially when you're on a building site, that these are our batteries and our tools. And my last tool is actually a mashup of a variety of different tools, which I think are fairly obvious that you need to have being a locksmith, which are picks. Now, I have a variety of different styles of picks that we carry that I don't really always get to use often, and a lot of kind of jiggly keys, bump keys and things like that. So what I'm going to do is throw the camera around and show you my big mashup of my favourite tools that I keep on board the van. And I think this desperately proves that I need to get kind of one of those medical bags that Jonathan has, because these were in a variety of about 3 or 4 different plastic tubs on one of my shelves, and trying to find all of them is becoming an absolute nightmare. So getting a little bag to keep them in one place is going to make my life so much easier. So let's flip the camera around and I'll show you the mashup of my favourite picks and tools that I think are necessary to have on jobs, just as a quick try out. Okay, so here's a big variety of the tools, and let's just work our way around. So first of all is this little bag of Gozo picks. So it's got 2 sections. I've just opened one up so you can see, and it comes in this really nice handy bag. So I've had these for years. I don't really use them often, if I'm honest. Don't tend to do much single pick picking. It's definitely something that'd be quite interesting to try, but I think with the jobs that we're on, most of the time it's just trying to get jobs done as quick as possible in a nice, skillful manner, and then moving on. As nice as it is to practice picking at home, sometimes those kind of tricks you don't really want to try with customers, because you're just trying to get them in, and if you have an EPG, sometimes that works just so much quicker. But yeah, I do carry these and I do use them every so often, so they're just a nice little tool to have, and I don't think they were that much expensive really, so that's definitely one to look out for if you haven't got anything at all. It's a good place to start. Next up, these aren't technically picks, these are key extractors, and what I've got is a little thin pair of pliers here, just because sometimes I can get the key out enough and I can grip these on and pull them. I know a lot of people are going to say that they use the little pliers that come with code lock, digilocks, but yeah, these are quite nice to have, and I've got a selection of different styles here. These are my favourite ones to go for. I got these off Amazon just because they're a bit longer, a bit thicker, so they're easier to use than the small ones. However, I would like to spend some money on some nice key extraction tools, so if anyone knows of any good quality ones, let me know. Even if they're a bit of money but they're going to last, I'd happily invest in them. But yeah, and then what I bought is a little pencil case just to keep all that in nicely, so it was kind of out the way. And so yeah, that's where all my key extractors sit if I need to use them. Hook picks, these I got off Amazon. I think you can get them from ALS Lock Tools, and they come with an extra tool in it just to make life easier, especially if you're going to use the EL Platinum. Again, Jonathan's done a video on that, and he had like the extra tool that's required to do the side of the lock. But yeah, comes with all the different style of picks. I don't think I've actually used this. I got it because it actually came up on offer. I think I paid about 12 quid for this, so I bought it. Just like one day I might get round to using it. So far I haven't, because well, I just haven't come across them. These days, any new locks for me in my area are just all Ultians, so I've really had no need to use this live on a job yet. These are very popular, and I think they're only really coming to market as much recently. People weren't really aware about them, but these are great for popping latches on a door where you don't have a letterbox and it's just a standard lockout and a PVC door. You've got your 2 different sizes, you've got your left hand, right hand each side, depending on which way you need to work it. Definitely worth picking some of these up. I've used it once on a wink house. I'd say wink house are probably the harder locks to work on, because I find they're very stiff naturally, and then mix that with an Ultian on a auto deadlocking door, they're a right nightmare. But yeah, for this I did it on one with no letterbox, and it opened it fairly quickly and easily, which I wanted on a nice early Sunday morning. So yeah, 2 different sizes, depending on the millimetre, so it depends on what type of door you're working on. But yeah, these are definitely worth keeping. Again, used them once, but I couldn't use a letterbox tool, so the fact that they worked meant that they've paid for themselves really, and again, they weren't too much money. So I picked these up quite recently. These are gauges for your 5 levers. So you got your 7 gauge and your 5 gauge, if I'm right, can't remember. So again, I got these from Bump Keys For You. They were on offer, and they're the ones that don't sit on the key, they kind of sit onto the curtain, so then you can rotate it without risking of pushing the key out. So you've got your two different sizes there, and I think they were on offer because they were just kind of getting rid of old stock. But I know my dad had some and they weren't cheap, but the fact that these kind of sit on the lock, there's no risk of pushing the key out. So yeah, grab a set of them, because the amount of times that people come out their back door and their front door's locked with the 5 lever, it means I can just unlock it and then go for the rim cylinder. So yeah, useful to have, nice little set of keys. Next up, I have my 5 lever picks. I got these from, I want to say his name's Andy, I can't remember off the top of my head, we got them years ago. He makes them all himself, and he has his dedicated YouTube channel that you get access to when you buy his tools. So these are all picks made up for 3 levers, your 5 levers. I've picked quite a few 3 levers with them because I've done a lot of practice. But again, I don't really use them, and I want to get into picking 5 levers more. My big issue is that where I live, I hardly get jobs that need the requirement of doing it, so it's very tricky to do. I do have a dedicated Fortress and Era GJ locks decoder, however it's missing components that I got from the SKS JMA open day that happened last year. So I want to kind of get the other components that belong with it, so then I can actually start using it. But not many places sell them separately, and GJ don't make it anymore. So if anyone knows anything about where I can get the parts that I need for it, please let me know. But yeah, these I've had for years. My dad got a set, I got a set, and we did practice a lot and use them. But the problem is, you practice a lot and you never come across jobs that actually require using them. Probably could do with a better storage bag than these, but these look great when they're sat on the bench, but when they're in the van, probably not the best bet to have it there. Lastly, these are all my tryout keys. I've got my FB keys. My dad's a firefighter, so they have them in the fire service, but yeah, your FB2 keys, things like that. Pretty standard set that you can pick up, useful to have if you're working on flats or anything for agents, because the access might be required unless you have the keys for it. And then I've got 2 lever tryout keys and 3 lever tryout keys. I think these again are Selber, and then I've got the same for keys for like your letterboxes and things like that, your tryout keys for all of them, garage doors, etc. So these are all my little tryout keys, picks that I tend to carry on board, other than my electric pick gun. I've got more picks inside, and I've got more picks in the van, but I'm not going to show them all. Got my GJ Ultium pick, but I think I'm going to try and change that to a Dada or Doda, whatever it's called, just because apparently it's a lot better. But yeah, these are these picks. Okay, so a bit of an insight into the tools that I use, what one of my favourite tools are, and tools that I think that are going to be quite required as a basic thing to have when starting up your own locksmith company, because without these, your life's going to be a lot harder. You're going to be passing on jobs to other people, or you're going to just be simply walking away saying, I can't do it, I don't have the skills or the tools to do it. And I think that's where number 6 comes in. Having all these tools are great, but making sure that you're able to actually use them is quite important, and that's why there are loads of schools out there to help teach you and use them. And especially when you go to some training rooms, the specific tools that they have means that it's probably best that you buy their tools too, just because you would have had hands-on experience and you'll feel comfortable using them. So just because you see I might have a certain pick gun or a certain style of picks doesn't necessarily mean you should go for that one, because it's about what feels comfortable in your hand and what you just can feel like you can hear. Because I don't tend to look at locks when I pick them, because it's not really what I'm, there's no gain for me in looking. It's more about the feel and like hearing and just kind of feeling like you're immersive in the lock. So I'm kind of looking around, closing my eyes, doing something, just that idea of it helps me focus more on what's more important, which is more for me feel. So yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next Wednesday for another video. Take it easy.